Please welcome back to the stage the President and Chief Executive Officer of the Detroit Regional Chamber, Sandy Barua.
So, Detroit. Since the turn of the last century, we have been a city, a region, and a state based on big. Big businesses, big government, even big nonprofits, big unions. Bigger was always better. You saw it in the size of our cars, and in generations past, the size of our ego. But, as we all know today, the future is based not on big, but on small, on being nimble, on being innovative. Fortunately, we are seeing the revival of an entrepreneurial spirit across the city and across the state. The spirit of Henry Ford, one of the ultimate entrepreneurs, which of course went on to create one of the great companies on our planet. That spirit is now alive and well in Detroit. In essence, I think that thing deserves applause. Thank you. The one soul applause back there. Detroit has become now the world's best 300-year-old startup. We have the history, we have the patina, and now we have that entrepreneurial spirit. So we're really excited to launch today at the Detroit Policy Conference in conjunction with the Michigan's Women's Foundation, led by my dear friend and frankly one of my bosses, one of my board members, Carolyn Casson, the Detroit Pitch Competition. The idea, the inspiration of this pitch competition came from the head of this year's upcoming Mackinac Policy Conference, Dennis Archer Jr. And here's how it's going to work. We interviewed, again with the Michigan Women's Foundation, over 70 candidates, entrepreneurial companies. Whittled that down to a dozen great entrepreneurial companies here in our region, and whittled that down to a final 4 that you're going to be introduced to in just a minute. These entrepreneurs that you're going to meet are going to be competing today for a prize package worth about $7,500, which includes cash and professional business services. As I mentioned earlier, our friends in West Michigan, Start Garden, is holding a similar competition on the west side of the state. And they're going to pick, as we are, one entrepreneur to send to the Mackinac Policy Conference later on this year, where they will be competing against each other for one grand prize with Damon John of ABC's Shark Tank. So I'm really excited about this session. This is something new and different for us. We could not have done this without Carolyn and her team at the Michigan Women's Foundation. So hang on, the program is about to begin. This is going to be a great session, and we're going to announce the winner later on this afternoon, so stick around. Thanks.
Please welcome the Pitch Detroit competition judges. President of Archer Corporate Services and Chair of the 2016 Mackinac Policy Conference, Dennis Archer Jr. Vice President of Government and Regulatory Affairs of Comcast, Craig D'Agostini. Marketing and Communications Director of FoodLab Detroit, Devita Davison. Partner of Detroit Venture Partners, Gabe Karp. And to MC the competition, President and CEO of the Michigan Women's Foundation, Carolyn Casson.
Oh, the after-lunch crowd. Come on, let's get excited here. Uh-oh. Thank you, Sandy. The Michigan Women's Foundation is pleased to be partnering with the Chamber on this inaugural pitch contest. Pitch competitions have been a key part of our Women's Entrepreneurial Initiative for the last 5 years. We know that in Detroit, entrepreneurs play a leading role in the transformation of our economy, and we are committed to ensuring that women have access to capital and the support they need to start and grow a business. MWF is Detroit's most active investor in women enterprises. For the last 5 years, we've held pitch competitions, and 2.5 years ago, we started a microloan fund, which loans money to women who want to start or grow their business. Through these pitch events and through our microlending, we have invested nearly $1 million in 60 women's startups in Southeast Michigan over the last 5 years, nearly half of them right here in Detroit. Together, they have contributed over $4.2 million to our economy. And by the way, not one woman who we've loaned money to has defaulted on her loan. Women are good investors. Now, the foundation board recently took a revolutionary step to start loaning money to men. So today is a very exciting first for us. It's our first multi-gender pitch competition. And you know what they say about your first? You always remember it. Okay, come on, laugh. Now, how many of you have been to a pitch competition before? Now, watching Shark Tank counts. That counts if you watch Shark Tank. But there is nothing like the energy and excitement of a live pitch competition that you're going to see today. As Sandy told you, actually over 120 people wanted to be on this stage. We did narrow it down to 12 semifinalists, and those 12 entrepreneurs pitched to both the Chamber and to the Michigan Women's Foundation. And those with the 4 highest scores, you're going to get an opportunity to see tonight. Each contestant will pitch to us for 4 minutes. Then the judges will have 6 minutes to ask questions, anything clarifying they'd like to know about the company. These judges will be looking for how persuasive the pitch is, how well thought out their business idea is, how knowledgeable and expert the entrepreneur is, and ultimately, the ultimate question is this a company in which I would invest my own personal money? Unfortunately, there won't be time for the audience to ask questions, but I hope you'll be keeping score along with the judges, because all of the finalists will be around for the rest of the day. Please take a moment to get to know them, to meet with them, and offer them help in any way you can. Right here on this stage, around 3:25, the winner will be announced. So let's get started. This is a very nerve-wracking experience for these entrepreneurs. So help me give them a very warm Detroit welcome. Jarret Schlaff and Joe DuBose, co-founders of Boots on the Ground.
Hello, my name is Jarret Allen, and for me, the Boots on the Ground story started a year and a half ago when I met a young Marine named Michael. I was walking down Woodward just outside of downtown when a man approached me and asked me for change to get on the bus. And after a brief conversation, I gave him bus fare, and we started talking and learned that this young Marine had been out looking for work all day, all week, and had been in and out of part-time work for the last 3 years. And to make matters worse, he was getting on that bus to go back to his car where he was sleeping. So we exchanged contact information. I gave him the $10 I had in my wallet, and I said, listen, I'm going to see what I can do. And so I started having conversations with veterans organizations and nonprofits and veterans like Joe, and I couldn't help but say, like, someone's got to do something about this. And what we learned more than anything else was what these men and women need are living wage work and a new mission. And with that, Boots on the Ground was born, with the mission to hire, house, and heal veterans overcoming homelessness to build these sexy, ecologically conscious urban utility boots and other products. And although we are a year old, we've forged both a nonprofit and an LC3 for-profit arm to really maximize our impact. And as exciting as we have 17 volunteers and an amazing workforce, our most kind of valuable asset to date has been our partnerships. So we have this amazing Detroit, West Michigan connection where we're working with Wolverine Worldwide, who makes amazing boots out in Grand Rapids. They're supporting us with our design, our production development. And then right here in Rochester Hills, we partnered with Lear and Eagle, Ottawa, to get some reclaimed leather like the stuff Joe's holding from the auto industry. Instead of getting shipped to China or landfilled, we're using it to make these ecologically conscious boots and other merchandise. As inspiring as that is, the most amazing and impactful element is that the primary audience participating with our brand are millennials, like Joe and I. And through our work with them, billions of dollars are spent every year, and by working alongside them, they literally get to wear their values. Joe?
Thanks, Jarret. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Joe DuBose, and I'd like to tell you a little bit about why I joined up with Boots on the Ground and what I intend to do while I'm here. Now, I joined the Marine Corps when I was 17, and one of the first things that we were taught was that we're a family and that we leave no one behind. And over 10 years and 5 combat tours, I've found myself in plenty of hairy situations, once or twice. And every time I was in one of those situations, I knew I could always count on my guys being there to get me out. Not because it was the mission, but because we're a family and we leave no one behind. Now, when I got out of the Marine Corps in 2009, that support structure that I had grown up with since I was 17 wasn't there. And I struggled. I struggled a lot. But luckily, I went to war with a group of guys that understand that we're a family and we leave no one behind. And that type of culture is what we're implementing in Boots on the Ground. That mission-oriented, purpose-driven sense of camaraderie combined with the organization and leadership structure that veterans understand, they know, and they thrive in it. Now, Jarret and I are excited to share our vision at Mackinac. But what we need today is a talented CFO. We could use an ad agency to support us in branding, packaging, and graphic design. And we could use a production space, something for us to grow into, as well as a fundraising guru. And on a personal note, if I could make to you, hire veterans. Put them on teams in your companies and see what they can do for your company. I'm telling you, it'll blow your mind. Thank you.
Thank you.
Whoa. Perfect.
That's reclaimed leather.
Judges, do you have any questions?
Yes. First, are these boots primarily, are these work boots or casual wear or both?
Yeah, so this would be considered a lifestyle boot. So this is an everyday knock-around boot built to last, which with more of a kind of classy, casual would be it's an urban utility boot is the style.
And have you thought about your distribution strategy? How you got wholesale? What kind of outlets are going to carry in your price point?
Sure, yeah. So one of the initial focuses is we're doing a direct-to-consumer distribution. So there's been an immense amount of demands already. We have 1,500 people who want to do pre-sale orders as soon as we're ready to offer them. And so we see an opportunity to kind of do this crowdfunding style invitation for people to pre-order our boots, so we literally don't have inventory. We can be making them when the demand is calling for it. And so, do you have anything to add, Joe? No.
Is there more than one style?
So we're starting off with that initial boot. The vision, we literally have a lot of exciting designers who have amazing visions. We're starting with the basic black to start things off, and we're looking at the second tier, which is a brown bomber, and we're looking to expand. There's been a huge invitation from folks, literally our oil workers, our folks who are working in industry saying, hey, I would love a pair to have for my job. And so there is demand to expand, but we're starting really simple, going back to the basics.
And how much is this?
So publicly, the price point, we're still working it, but literally, it's going to shift a bit because literally we're just now in this conversation getting reclaimed leather at no cost to us. You know, so the price point might shift a bit, but we're literally, it's around competitive with the rest of American industry that's building boots here in the United States, but it's around the $249 range.
Two quick questions. So in your cost to make the boot, do you have ideas on how to lower those costs, and is part of what you're here today to try to move towards bringing down your production costs? Do you have any thoughts on that, or are you stuck where you are on how you're building them today?
Yes. Do you want to speak real quick to the team aspect of some of the workforce and how that can weave in, and I can share and speak to the specific?
What we're developing in our leadership is a sense of just the leadership being with our employees, and how that translates into cost savings is they're purpose-driven people, so the mission is going to get done. It always gets done with veterans, no matter what. No matter what the deadline is, no matter what the time frame is, it's going to get done every time.
And to build on that, we're in conversation with the VA, and there's a lot of job placement programs that create this entrepreneurship apprenticeship pathway. And then as far as costs, we're looking at materials costs. We're starting everyone at $15 an hour, paying living wage, with developing this as this worker-owned cooperative style where we have profit sharing, we have this invitation for folks to be really driving innovation. And so materials, looking at how we can get creative with our individual employee costs and everything in between. So partnerships are going to be key in really bringing the costs down. Yeah.
So let me piggyback on that word partnership. Mm-hmm. And I say that because Detroit has become a place where it has become home for a lot of social entrepreneurs, particularly in the apparel space. So we have Veronica Scott doing amazing things at the Empowerment Plan, right? Turning sleeping bags into coats. We also have the team over at Rebel Nail, which are working with COTS, I do believe, to create jewelry as well for women in shelters. I'm wondering if we also have Shinola, right? That are creating very high-end watches and hiring Detroiters at like you said, a living wage to do that. Have you talked to anybody in the ecosystem that are creating boots and coats and jewelry as you all begin to develop boots on the ground?
Great question. And as Joe has been building along the team side, I've been oftentimes doing some of the partnership development. So we actually sat down with the vice president of Shinola and the top person in the leather factory managing that. We've sat down with Rebel Nail. We got to tour their amazing space and love the kind of the pathway with COTS that they're using. We really want to create this broader ecosystem beyond just boots. But how can we collaborate? We have neighborhood partners literally on the east side of Detroit where they're working and doing youth entrepreneurship training, and they're doing leather bracelets and belts, and we're able to work alongside folks in the neighborhoods to literally share, create, and the mentoring we can do. When we have our veterans mentoring young people, it's this amazing sense of giving back. And so I know Veronica, while her and I both were fellows, Young American Leadership Fellows at Harvard Business School. So her and I have collaborated and talked, and yeah, the work they do is amazing. We've also sat down with Henry Ford College, who has an amazing industrial sewing program, which is what we're designing our apprenticeship program through. And then the actual designer who designed the sandals from Detroit Tread that works with Cass Community Social Services, that's the guy who designed our boots. So yeah, there's a lot of beautiful connection, and we're really trying to collaborate and see we're all in this together. We don't want to leave anyone behind, so how can we really support and lift up each other as we move forward?
In terms of your ability to scale, is Wolverine a long-term partner, or are you going to wean yourselves off of them at some point?
Yeah, so currently the conversation with Wolverine, they're looking at how they can work with us to develop a training pathway for our folks to actually end up working at Wolverine while we have our own insular vision for veteran manufacturing. So we see this huge opportunity to go way beyond boots to anything you can think of making from apparel. There's a lot that we can build off of that. So Wolverine is a partnership. They're interested in helping us get launched, but this is a worker-owned company, with veteran ownership, and so the long-term vision is to be our own multiple enterprises, but we really are inspired by models across the country and world, really, where if someone has an idea, they're inspired by the entrepreneurship element that we bring to the table, and they want to take something and run with it, then let's collaborate with that, let's foster that and create that opportunity. So.
Okay, thank you. Thank you both very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, judges. We're talking to them. They'll be here afterwards. All right. Thank you both. Now let's welcome Tatiana Grant, who is the co-founder of Flash Delivery.
Do any of these images resonate with you? Well, I'm the girl sitting and eating lunch at her desk, and my business partner feels that grocery shopping is the devil. So you can imagine that we thought we struck gold when we came up with the concept of food delivery in Detroit. But what we soon learned was that for restaurants, delivery is a logistical nightmare, and that grocery stores rather focus on stocking shelves and sales rather than delivering food to customers. So the concept of Flash Delivery was born, and we're a one-stop food delivery solution for restaurants, grocery stores, and hungry customers. Essentially, our customers place their order via our website, mobile app, or the telephone, and the food arrives hot and on time. And for our restaurant and grocery partners, they receive the order from us, as well as a confirmation call with pickup time. Our drivers then arrive and double-check the order, and they receive payment at the end of the week. This represents some of the 2,300 customers we have just in downtown Detroit. And these orders range from individual and group orders to corporate meetings and catering and grocery orders. We have an 86% retention rate and 92% satisfaction rate. And in addition to these customers, we've partnered with Grubhub, which is the nation's largest restaurant ordering portal in the nation. And if their customers indicate that they want delivery, the orders automatically come to us for fulfillment. This is an actual order. And I'm sure you're wondering, how do we make money? Well, we utilize a revenue share model, charge a delivery fee to customers, and sell advertising. We operate with 24% margins on every order. And this is the team behind Flash. My business partner, Erica, is an accountant by trade, and she handles, naturally, our accounting, as well as our operations and human resources. And I manage our marketing, customer relations, and external relations. In addition to that, we've had software developed that automates many of our processes. This ranges from customer communication to our dispatching and even some of our accounting. And last but certainly not least, we have our driving team, which we call the Fab Five. And these guys work hard day and night to help us grow our business. And growing is exactly what we're doing. As you can see, we had pretty steady growth in 2015 and generated $83,000 in revenue. And we're ahead of our projections for 2016 and have already brought in over $34,000 just in this year. In addition to this, what's not represented is that we're finalizing a contract with a national grocery partner that would increase our grocery sales by over 170%, and that's just with the pilot. So as you can imagine, expansion is on the horizon for Flash delivery. And being able to present at the Mackinac Policy Conference will afford us the opportunity to present in front of the stakeholders who are at the organizations and are in the cities that we're looking to expand to. So judges, I've shared our vision with you, and I'm asking for your vote to make it a reality. Thank you.
Good job.
Well, I've got to say that was a very succinct presentation. Thank you for that. You mentioned a lot in here, office and corporate clients.
Yes.
I think that there are just as many frustrated, hungry residents that don't want to go out when it's snowing outside to get something to eat. Are you pursuing that market?
Yes, we are. So when we initially started, we thought, we have our target demographic, this is what it is. And what we soon learned was by the influx of individuals who are living downtown, we had to extend our hours. So up until November, we actually closed at 6 p.m. Since November, we've started doing dinner deliveries, which is, if you look on our growth chart, which is how we've had such a large increase in our sales has been by that. And we also have relationships with a lot of the residential buildings. So we are a partner with the Albert, which is part of the Saxe, I don't remember the name of the group, but we're working with a lot of these property managers to be included as part of their concierge service that they offer to their residents, so yes.
And so are you going to scale beyond downtown Detroit to
Absolutely.
Birmingham, Northville, Ann Arbor?
Yes, so next on our horizon is Grosse Pointe. We've already started reaching out to partners there as far as restaurants go. The national grocery partner that we're looking at has locations in many different locations, and it would be an exclusive relationship with them. So we would have to get the groceries from them. But basically, the way our ecosystem is as long as we have customers and we have restaurants and we have drivers, we can expand. So yeah, next up is Grosse Pointe. Then we are looking at Southfield or Troy, and then we'll kind of play as we go based on those.
And then last question, I don't want to be a hog, but what's your use of capital? I mean, so you're ready, you need money to do what?
Well, to be honest with you, we have been completely self-funded. So thus far, we haven't sought out investment. The only way we will need investment is based on this partnership with this national grocery partner if we need to scale up. And where we are in the negotiations, we won't need capital yet. Like, we won't need to have to, buy a fleet of anything like that. But if we do, that's where the investment would need to come in.
I wanted to follow up on that partnership with the large grocery chain.
Yes.
You talked about 20+% margins.
Yes.
Do you see that with this partnership, with this new venture with this grocery store? Is that,
It would
are you
be,
expecting somewhere?
it would be less, but it would be between 5 and 8%. The reason why we're able to have the margins that we do at this point is because with restaurants, your margins are much higher
That's what I was
than
exploring.
with groceries. Yeah, but where we make that up is with our delivery fee and some of the
And the
marketing that we
volume?
do. Yes.
What
Oh, the volume
is going to be okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
Can we talk about the economics a little bit? What is the delivery fee? How much?
The delivery fee is $5.
And do you always deliver from restaurants or food providers that are giving you rev share?
Yes. Yes, those are the only partners that we utilize. Yes.
So Tatiana,
Yes.
the customer that uses the restaurant delivery portion of your business and the customer who I would imagine that will use the grocery delivery portion of your
Yes.
business are two different customers, right? The demographics are very different. And the reason why I say that is I would imagine that the people who are using the grocery delivery portion of your business may be those individuals who don't have access to a grocery store. There's competition in that space, particularly on the national grocery store market with an Instacart. How would you differentiate delivery, flash delivery service from Instacart who may be moving into this area?
Right. How we do that is one, because we're a one-stop shop. So we really see our differentiating point as having many offerings, restaurant, grocery, whatever the case may be. And for our grassroots marketing campaign, it's really the fact that we are a homegrown company, and at this point at least, Instacart doesn't have the brand recognition. So we would have to ramp up our marketing to be able to compete with them. But based on the national grocery partner we have, I'm very familiar with Instacart because we were in talks with Whole Foods, and that's the reason why we couldn't work with Whole Foods. Absolutely. And based on their platform, the partners that they have, the partner that we're working with has a much larger customer base than they do. So that's how we would do that. And it would be an exclusive partnership that they would lock us into.
Uber has some of the services where you can order lunch and they'll
Uber Eats, right.
Yeah. Does that concern you?
It does and it doesn't. So if you look on the reviews, and if, I'm sure you read TechCrunch and things of that sort, nobody in this space has been able to crack the food delivery realm and where things are going. And so for us, the relationship that we have with the restaurants is very key and instrumental as far as being able to manage the back end and the food quality. And it doesn't appear that Uber has been able to do that. And when they do it, it's with limited menus. And it's very kind of pick up and go. Whereas for us, we have the full gamut, the entire restaurant menu, as well as we do the catering and the grocery. And we've actually thought about partnering with them, because drivers and the shortage of them is a problem that we have run into over and over again. So we've thought about tapping into Uber's API. But when you look at the food quality and even some of the issues that they're having now, we're kind of rethinking our thought process on that.
Real quick, does the $5 fee cover your driver cost?
Yes, our drivers make $3 plus tip. So, I mean, basically, we don't make money off of the delivery fee once you have credit card processing and things.
It's all rev share for you.
Exactly.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next, let's welcome Anthony Haytinger and Theodore Kozerski, co-founders of Detroit Ento.
Hello, everyone. We are Detroit Ento. And we wanted to ask a quick question. Who here in the audience, by a show of hands, has ever eaten insects before?
Uh-oh.
Okay. So, in comparison, who today ate beef for lunch? right? So why insects, you may ask? We are in a crisis mode when it comes to our food production globally. So the population is expected to increase to 9 billion by 2050. As well, our demand for food is going to increase by 40% in that time. More food than we've ever produced in our life. So insects can be a solution for that. So for those of you who did eat beef, consider this. Per pound, it is 1,000 gallons of water of production for beef. Imagine what you can do with that 1,000 gallons. Comparatively, crickets are only 1 gallon per pound. They're more efficient, just in general. So for feed conversion, it requires a lot less feed to feed insects than mammalian livestock. As well, their comparisons for nutrition are quite similar for fat and for protein. So when we think about food, it has a wide variety of uses, whether it's whole, ground up. Most of it you'll never taste. It will be mixed into an item, and you just get the nutritional benefits. So crickets in particular, more iron than spinach, more protein than beef, and as much B12 as salmon. So for feed, studies have shown that 25 to 100% of soy and fish meal can be replaced with insect protein. And of course, fish meal is being pulled right from the oceans. They're being overfished. Soy exhausting the soils. So we need to have new solutions.
So I have a question. How many of you passed a warehouse that looked like this on your way down here? Right? So insects provide a tremendous potential for land use in terms of a protein. We can raise them vertically indoors, and they like the tight, cramped spaces. Mealworms here shown use tremendously less land. The energy use and greenhouse gas production here is also shown versus our typical proteins. So my name is Theodore Kozerski.
I'm Anthony Haydinger.
And we're
partners, Farron Forsberg.
Yes, sir. So we're Detroit Ento. We are raising insects for food, feed, and pharma. We think that insects are the missing link in ecology of our industrialized food system. It shows a little supply chain here, just how insects can be reared on organic waste streams, which we have a plethora of. We'll rely on our institutional partners for product development, supply chain, much more. Also, the UN came out with a document in 2013 discussing the impact of global agriculture and how insects need to be considered as a serious food source for the reasons we previously mentioned. We're also looking at technological advancement in this process and production. As you can see here, $91.4 billion in total economic activity in Michigan for agriculture alone. Insects can contribute to that immensely. We also think this is a policy issue that needs to be moved forward in a serious way. With our partners regionally, we can make that happen, as well as workforce development. I mean, ag tech skills training is an immense opportunity. We can develop jobs here in Detroit for Detroiters.
So quickly, this is a map showing over 2 billion people that eat insects on a daily basis, and not out of poverty, but out of taste. So we want to expand upon this. In America, there are over 40 products that are being made for human consumption, and only 4 farms in North America, and 2 processors, and we are one of, going to be the next of those. So the market potential, Fortune has valued it at about $360 million over the next few years, and compare it to quinoa as far as a superfood. Why Detroit? $6 billion is our economic impact dealing with food, creating about 60,000 jobs. We want to increase that and fill in the supply chain with insects.
Hey guys.
So customer base, health food. Here's some quick competition, and here is pictures of food products. So what we brought for the judges today includes a protein bar, granola, and
try them.
And biscuits. So please give them a taste before questioning. Thank you very much.
Judges.
What percentage of your sales or your business, you said food, feed, and farming. So how does that break out from a percentage basis?
So we want to tackle all 3 issues. We're starting with human food because surprisingly it's the least regulated over livestock and pet feed and pharma. And so we want to tackle that first. It's the breakthrough market, and that's where the industry lays. So we are creating farm modules for crickets right now. We do our own growing and our own processing here in the city. And then the next step is to acquire a farm that does fly larvae for poultry and fish feed. And that way we don't have to spend all this time on the R&D. We will just be acquiring and moving on. But there's thousands and thousands of species that are usable for humans. This is just the breakthrough.
So Anthony and Theodore, what I think that your largest hurdle may be in this market is customer acquisition. Talk to me a little bit about your marketing and advertising strategy on how you're going to get folks to eat bugs.
Right. So, yeah, it is. I mean, this is exactly, it's psychology.
Right.
So, from a standpoint of these types of products, we have 3 national customers that are interested once we have the volume. And so we just want to make it an export market. We want to keep the entire chain here, train Detroiters up in this business, and then allow them to diversify the market. So we're working with local restaurants as well as food entrepreneurs to experiment. It's going to take a lot of experimentation. But we found that our competitors are all, especially the farms, they're doubling, quadrupling in size within 2 years. And most of their sales are our web sales. And that's very simple for us, just to be able to outsource it that way.
So on that, I've seen these people speak to this food source before. What is you quickly brush on the competition in your slide, but what differentiates your group from the competition? Because although customer acquisition is an issue, I have heard of this before, and the market's obviously there, so people are going to be running after this market. How do you see yourselves being a leader?
I think differentiation for us is on the social aspect. We need to automate and we need to expand this quickly, but at the same time, we know if we can't create jobs and educate people on the consumer end or on the end of being part of this business, it won't thrive. So our main differentiation is not only that we want to expound on all 3 aspects, food, feed, and pharma, especially with our research partners in Michigan, and we're an ag state. Beyond that, it's going to really be with the value of engaging and training Detroiters to do this work. That's going to set us apart because we can expand, commercially. It's, in a warehouse, it's very simple for us to throw up this modulated system where we're not taking land, we're repurposing. So I think that's going to be a differentiation. A lot of it's dealing with the city itself.
Can you just walk through your unit economics? So you've got to grow and feed bug. The cost of X number of bugs produces X amount of yield, which you can then sell for what amount?
Okay, so a pound of protein powder is $40, and it costs us just under half of that to produce it. Now, the market pushes also for frozen insects and dehydrated whole insects, which are at a much lower cost of production. Way to combat that is waste stream valuation. So if we, on a policy level, are able to have organic waste separation, we can pull waste right from the landfill before it hits the landfill, or from restaurants, divert that into an insect stream, and our operation costs go very low. Similarly, with 3D printing, for certain aspects, we can drop the operation cost quite a bit.
And you did not talk about logistics or packaging costs.
Oh, so for us, logistically, I mean, most of it can be done ground and drop shipping, but it depends. We're looking at combining with other distributors of the powder, because there's a lot of resellers also. And so there are ways to offload that onto the reseller from a shipping standpoint. Packaging's relatively cheap. We use craft packaging with a viewing window. And then we have a separate one for frozen.
One of the things, Anthony and Theodore, we hear in Detroit a lot from business leaders is that there's this brain drain in Detroit, or they have a very, very hard time finding talent. It's not that jobs aren't in Detroit, it's the fact of the matter is we hear that some folks have trouble finding Detroiters to fill that job. One of the things about your proposition is that you lean into a very well-established industry here in the city of Detroit, which is the agricultural industry. Talk to me a little bit about the talent that is already here that you can take advantage of, the farmers, the ecosystem, the distributors, and the like. Yeah, go ahead.
That's exactly it. So our plan and our module is to take our platforms and distribute them through agricultural organizations already producing food. So gearing them into a new market will create new revenue streams for them, and then in turn, it'll make it easier for us to just buy back. So we don't have to be the brunt of bearers of the production. So the food scene is burgeoning. We have growers here. We have the most growers of any urban city in America. We have the platform, like you said, the distribution is here, And I think whether you like it or not, it's novel and it's interesting, and so that will allow people to experiment with it. And I think that all of those factors, combined with the fact that if we are able to structure with our urban land use and our agricultural ordinance here to include this type of production, it will really stabilize, because it's an export market. You know, we can send them out.
Is any other city beating us right now?
In urban ag?
In not only in urban ag, but in the production of insects?
Austin, Texas is they're booming in it.
Yeah.
They're booming in it. Ontario.
Yeah.
And that's it. San Francisco is picking up steam very quickly.
Okay.
Do either of you have farming background? Or?
Yes.
Both of us.
Both, sorry.
Oh, they do.
All right.
Sorry about
Thank you both. That's all right.
You guys try this.
Thanks very much, Anthony and Theodore.
Thank you.
Now, last but certainly not least, I would like to introduce you to Justine Sheu, co-founder and CEO of ProUp.
Hi, I'm Justine Sheu, the CEO of ProUp. And like my co-founders, I've spent the last 5 years working as a counselor to Detroit high school students like Tanisha. Tanisha was a student of mine who grew up in one of the toughest neighborhoods in the city without role models or parents in her life. But Tanisha aspired to be different. The only problem was that she didn't know exactly what career to pursue or the path to take to get there. So when she came to me for help, I spent hours scouring my network, and finally I found 2 opportunities I knew would be a good fit: the Accounting Career Awareness Program and a Women's Leadership and Empowerment Camp. Through these programs, Tanisha met role models to guide her. She discovered that accounting was her dream career, and she won the scholarship that enabled her to be the first in her family to go to college. The problem for me is that Tanisha's just one of over 700 students that I, like the average counselor in the state of Michigan, serves on a day-to-day basis. And the reality is, we simply have too many students to be able to match everyone to a meaningful early career experience. And yet, as counselors, we know that there are a wealth of organizations that provide meaningful opportunities for high school students, yet are struggling to find enough qualified candidates for their programs. What both groups need is a means to efficiently connect, and that's what ProUp is here to change. ProUp is a web app that matches high school students to educational and career experiences like summer programs, internships, leadership camps, and jobs. Based on the interest that students indicate in their profile, they receive personalized notifications about opportunities in their area that match their interests. Now, on the other side of the platform are organizations that provide opportunities to high school students. Each opportunity that they publish is pushed through only to students with matching interests, enabling them to reach more qualified candidates more efficiently. These organizations pay via an annual subscription fee that's based on the size and the type of their entity. And based on this pricing model, we estimate that our beachhead market of Southeast Michigan is worth $4.8 million based on the nearly 6,000 opportunity-providing organizations in this area. While there are other college and career readiness apps out there, none of them delivers our key innovation, a personalized stream of both educational and career experiences that is specific to high school students. As for our next steps, I'm excited to share we've already raised over $50,000 in non-dilutive funding thanks to sources like the Michigan Women's Foundation, and we just launched our beta on December 1st of 2015. Since then, we've acquired 15 high school pilot sites and 10 customers, including the University of Michigan. As I've shared, my co-founders and I have deep domain experience as counselors and educators in the city of Detroit, and our interim CTO has decades of software development experience. Through ProUp, our mission is to expose every high school student to the types of early career experiences that will ignite their passions and define their future careers. Visit us at www.pro-up.co. Thanks for your time.
I just had a quick question on that last part.
Sure.
Obviously, it looks like your team's got experience in the software and app business. Do you have someone on your team who's got experience in business development operations, financial aspects of growing a business, that type of thing?
Sure. So our interim CTO, who's also serving as our business and technical advisor, has served as the CEO of a number of startups and is actually a coach with the New Enterprise Forum. So he has a deep level of experience in both the business development side and on the technical software development side.
Thank you.
What's your sales process? Who is the person, I don't know if it's the advisor or you, that is going out, pounding the pavement, signing people up?
So as a multi-sided platform, we have two groups that we need to acquire onto the platform, right? You have high school students on the one side, and so as counselors, we're able to leverage our domain experience and our networks in the secondary schools in Metro Detroit to actually meet directly with counseling teams as high schools. And these counseling teams, in turn, invite groups of students who are basically participating as pilot users for our beta. Now, on the other side of the platform, we're targeting organizations that are actually providing opportunities to high school students, like universities with pre-college summer programs. And they have an interest in paying to reach the student population that we're bringing to the platform. So for these organizations, our sales process has consisted primarily of two things. One, direct sales visits, right? By attending conferences where these folks are located, and again, kind of leveraging our networks as counselors in the space, we're able to meet with these folks directly, demo our platform, and like I said, we've already converted 10 customers, including U of M. Now, the other thing that we've been able to leverage is our relationships with the counselors at the high schools, because the status quo model involves the organizations emailing and calling these counselors to access their groups of students. So what we've given the counselors is a template email that says, hey, you can find our students and reach them directly on ProUp. So the next time an organization asks them to recruit students, the organization is actually being referred to ProUp via the counselor.
Thank you.
Interesting. What's the organization's user experience? So a student is told by the app, we're matching you up to this entrepreneurship program at U of M. What happens on the U of M side? Is there a human being that's monitoring that? And
yes, so on U of M side, typically it's going to be the program director or coordinator, right? They have the option of publishing an opportunity, which is going to shoot it out via text and email notifications to students on this side. Now, the sweet thing is that this organization coordinator can see the names and contact information of all the students who have basically viewed their opportunity, and the students who have hit like, which is subscribing to hear additional notifications about this opportunity, and finally, any student who's hit the apply button, which takes them directly to the external web page where they can fill out the application. The organizations also get email notifications each time students are interacting with their opportunity posts in a specific way. So but when somebody comments on the opportunity post, U of M is going to get an email notification that says, hey, Jalen Barney commented on your post, make sure you reply to him to ensure that we're drawing them back to the platform so the students have a good experience on their side.
how many monthly active students do you have on the platform now?
So since we've launched, it's been, 3 months, and I'm going to say we lost 1 month because of winter break, and we've already got 350 active students on our site since we've launched from the 15 high schools that we partnered with. We've also partnered with the Detroit Economic Club. I have to say hi because I see them, and I see Steve in the audience. And they are actually using ProUp in their Career Readiness Academy, so that's been another source of student users for us.
I want to ask you, I know it's early on, but obviously you probably have a mechanism for tracking success.
Yes.
Tenure, feedback from both the employer and the employee.
Absolutely.
Do you have any results this early on?
Sure. So what we are doing is running very detailed reports on our user engagement, which includes what % of students who are actually deployed, a notification, are coming back to the website and viewing it, liking it, or applying to it. And those numbers are pretty high. So based on our very limited set of data that we have thus far, about 15 opportunities that have been pushed through the system, the numbers are about between 20 and 30% of student click-through from the students who actually receive a notification, which we know is about 2 or 3 times higher than traditional sort of email streams. And with advertisement channels like flyers, that number is almost about 2%. Yeah.
That's normal. Thank you.
Sure.
Is your plan for this to be a national company? You had the pie where the local market was, I think, 4.8 million, but it's almost a $400 million national market. Do you plan to grow into that?
Absolutely. So our sales long-term expansion plan is to deploy teams of about 4 to 6 individuals who will be hitting the schools like we are and hitting the organizations on the ground in the, 10 of the 60 largest metropolitan areas in the nation. Essentially, they'll be working on our student user acquisition and our organization acquisition. And we've already been contacted by the city of St. Louis. One of their large nonprofit organizations, Construction for STEM, said, hey, we wanted to build a database that does exactly what ProUp does, and then we figured out that you existed, so we'd like to actually bring your platform to St. Louis because we already have the infrastructure of university partners and secondary schools. So St. Louis might actually be one of the next cities that we reach. And our plan is really to raise a seed round in the next 6 months so that we can actually bring on the sales and marketing team to expand beyond our beachhead market.
And how much do you plan to raise?
Our plan is between $500,000 and $1 million.
All right, thank you, Justine.
Okay,
Thanks
for
very
your
much.
time.
Thank you. So is Detroit an incredible place to be an entrepreneur and to start a business? Are you? I think so. I think so every day. Judges, you have a very difficult task ahead of you. Let's say thank you to the judges, thank you to the entrepreneurs, and we'll see you back here in a couple of hours.
Good job.